Okay, in this video, we began our process of using unit multipliers to convert units. Okay, today we'll be on units of linear measurement, just measuring straight lines. Okay, in different units: feet, inches, 1 yard's 3 feet, 1 yard's 36 inches, and then something you probably never heard of: 1 rod is 16.5 feet. 1 rod, 5.5 yards. Furlong, it's another unit of measurement you probably never heard of. It's 220 yards, so that's pretty long. I mean, a whole football field's 100 yards, so when you put it in that context. And you got miles and feet, miles and yards, miles and rods, miles and furlongs. Okay. Now there are area measurements and volume measurements and more linear measurements in the metric system. Okay, these are the customary. Okay, we're just going to go customary today, so just take that off, okay, so you can look at it. Now, there's a certain way this needs to be done, okay? You're not going to just cross multiply and divide. Don't do that. This is how they want this done. Convert linear measurements. 51.0 inches is feet, so we need to just get blank feet. I would set that up. So here's what you do. You take the given amount, 51.0, and put its label, and you just put that over 1. As of now, if it doesn't say per, you're not going to put any unit with the 1, okay? Now you're going to put a times. You're not going to put an equals. You're going to put a times, and then make another ratio. Now you carry inches down here, okay? So inches, and then we're going to put what we want, feet, up here. So look up your feet inches ratio, okay? 1 foot is 12 inches. So 1 foot, 12 inches. Now here's what happens. These inches cancel out, okay? And then you take 51.0 times 1, 51.0, and then 1 times 12 is 12. So now you take 51.0 divided by 12. Now, 4.25. As long as it's a decimal that ends, I'm fine with that, 4.25 feet. Now, if you get a decimal that just goes on and on, you don't write the repeater. You hit second, PRB equals. So it'd be 4 1/4. Now, I'd be fine with 4.25, but like 3.6 repeating, I don't want to see that. So 4 1/4 of a foot. Okay, 21.25 feet is yards, so we want yards. Now I put what I'm given, 21.25 feet, over the quantity 1. No label with the 1. And you bring your feet down here, and then where we want to end at, yards, that goes on top. So look up your yards feet. 1 yard is 3 feet, so 1, 3. Remember to get them in the right place. 1 is with yards, 3 is with feet. Okay, so 21.25 times 1 is 21.25, and then 1 times 3 is 3. And that's going to be yards because that's the only label that's left. I do not want to see that. When you get that, you hit second, PRB equals 7 1/12 of a yard, okay? Okay, 6,300 feet is miles, so we want blank miles. So 6,300 feet over 1. Don't put equals. You put times, and you're going to times by another ratio with feet on the bottom and miles. Okay, so miles and feet. 1 mile, 5,280 feet. See ya feet, get out of here. So, miles, 6,300 times 1 is 6,300. 1 times 5,280 is 5,280. You are not going to write that. Hit second, PRB equals 1 17/88 of a mile. Okay, 44.4 inches is feet, so we need blank feet. Okay, so inches comes down here, so it can be canceled, and then feet comes here. So feet and inches. 1 foot is 12 inches. You can't put 12 feet 1 inch. That doesn't make any sense. So the inches are canceled. 44.4 times 1 is 44.4, and then 1 times 12 is 12. Okay, I want to hit second. PRB equals 3 7/10 of a foot. Now, so far this seems kind of easy, okay? It's going to change here in a bit when I get to the third page, but when you get down here, it's a little more challenging. 56.8 feet is yards. 56.8 feet over 1. Now I want to get rid of my feet and get it into yards. So 1 yard is 3 feet. These are called unit multipliers. 56.8 times 1 is 56.8. 1 times 3 is 3, and then yards, but you have to divide it. Hit second, PRB, oops, my bad. So 56.8 divided by 3, second, PRB equals 18 14/15. No, you're not rounding it. I want it exact. Okay. 216 rods is miles. Okay. So we want miles. That's what we want to end up with. So put 216 rods over a quantity of 1, and then rods, miles. Now look up rods and miles. Okay, 1 mile is 320 rods. So 216 times 1 is 216. 1 times 320 is 320. Miles is the answer, but we need to get that into simplest form. Yeah, I don't want that. Okay. 2740 is, so it's not even a full mile, which makes sense because that just reduced it by actually 8. Okay. Now the game changes. 75 inches as feet and inches. So you go you want to mix blank feet, blank inches. That means we need to do 2 steps. Okay. This is the first step is the same as before. So put 75 inches, just put a 1 under it, and then bring inches down here. And let's talk about feet first. Let's pretend it's just feet. So feet, inches, 1 foot, 12 inches. Now you got to leave room over here. Okay. So feet, it's going to be 75 over 12. And this is why you need to use the second PRB unit. Okay. Second PRB. I want you to put 6 1/4 of a foot, but here's what I want you to do then to get inches. Cross out the 1/4 and put 1/4 feet over 1. Okay. Now we want to get from feet to inches. The 1/4 is now gone. Okay. The fraction I end up with is what I put that fraction with its label over 1. Now feet, and I want to get to inches. So look up the inches, feet, it's still 12, 1. So 1. So it's 12 to 1 though. Okay, 12 inches, 1 foot. It's not the same as it is over here. So it's going to give you inches. Then 1/4 times 12 is 3. And then if you just have 1 on the bottom, just leave it 3 inches. So 6 feet, 3 inches. Scribble out that 1/4. Get it, put it there to begin with, but then get rid of it. That's how you get a mixed measurement. Okay, 2,420 yards is miles in yards. So blank miles blank yards. Let's just pretend it's miles first. We'll deal with the leftover at the beginning, or at the end. 2420 yards over 1. Okay. First, let's get it into miles, everything into miles. So look up the miles and yards. So 1 mile, 1760 yards. Yards you can go. Okay. So with miles, I end up with 2420, and then 1 times 1760. Second, PRB equals, so 1 3/8 miles. Now to get to yards, you keep the 1, okay? But you put 3/8 miles over 1, and then you get, cross out the 3/8, okay? Once you place that here, it's gone because we're getting rid of the 3/8. We're transitioning to miles and yards, okay? Okay, so yards and miles. So there's yards and miles. 1 mile is 1,760 yards. Okay, so you're just gonna, I don't need to do the bottom because it's just a 1. Okay, I can just take 3/8 times 1760. I get 660 yards. Okay, so 1 mile, 1 full mile, and then 660 yards. Okay, there's more where that came from. 127.5 inches as feet and inches. Okay, so inches. First, let's get to feet. Get everything to feet. Figure out how many feet we have. Feet and inches. 1 foot is 12 inches, so 1, 12. So it's going to be 127.5 on top, and 1 times 12 is 12. That's going to be your feet. Okay, 10 5/8. Now we keep the 10. We're at 10 full feet, but then we take the 5/8, the leftover fraction, 5/8 feet, put it over 1. Now I get rid of it. Now I want to get this out of feet and into inches. So 12 inches, 1 foot. Okay, you end up with just 1, so it's really just finding what 5/8 of 12 is. Okay, 7.5. Now you can keep the fraction in the last blank, okay, because that's, now if there's another one, then I'd leave 7 and then take the 1/2 inch and convert it. But there's not. Okay, 1,925 1/3 of a yard as miles and yards. Okay, so take your 1,295 1/3 of a yard over 1. And we're going to get to miles first. So, miles and yards. 1 mile is 1,760 yards. You got to put the, this is, you got to set up your labels, okay? Okay, so multiply that, 1,295 1/3 over 1,760. That's miles, okay? It's going to be 1 full mile, I can kind of tell that, but obviously there's leftover, which is for the B to translate it to yards. Okay, that works. 1 31 3/30. So we have 1 full yard. Now we got to take that fraction, 31 over 330, and put it over 1. That's miles, okay? You got to put the label with it. You can't do that. So miles, yards. So ditch that. Don't need that. Then the yards, miles unit multiplier, okay? 1 mile, 1,760 yards, okay? So really you're just multiplying the leftover fraction times 1,760, and that gives me 165 1/3. 6.5 yards is feet and inches, okay? Now this is the way I do it's the same way, okay? So, 6.5 yards. Place that over 1. And the first thing yards has to be out of yards, and I want to get to feet first. So feet and yards. So 1 yard is 3 feet. So 1, 3. Okay. Once again, if you have just ones on the bottom, you don't really need it. Okay. Because over 1 is pointless to have. 19.5. Okay, so 19.5 feet. So we got 19 full feet. Now I take that half a foot, put it over 1, get rid of the half, and now I want to get that half out of feet and into inches. So inches and feet. So 1 foot is 12 inches. Half times 12 is 6. Okay, 16 feet, 19 feet, 6 inches. Okay, 0.0900 miles is yards and feet. Okay, so blank yards, blank feet. We want a mixture unit. 0.0900 miles of the given quantity goes over 1. And then miles, and the first thing I want to get to is yards. So on your table, you see 1 mile, 1760 yards. 1 mile, 1 has to go with miles, 1760. Okay, so 0.0900 times 1760, 158.4, okay. I would hit second PRB equals 158 and 2/5. That would be yards. You don't need to do 1 times 1, okay. So we have 158. We'll just put, again, that's, you just want to put 158 there, put your 2/5 to start with, but then take your 2/5 yards, 2/5 of a yard, put it over 1, and now we need to get from yards to feet, okay? So yards, feet, and there's 3 feet in a yard. Okay, so I take 2/5 times 3, 1 1/5, okay? Now again, you can have a fraction in the end measurement, okay? That's fine. Yeah, you got to be kind of organized with how you're doing this, okay? Next one, 2.180 miles is rods in yards. So blank rods, blank yards, okay? So miles, and the first thing I want to get to is rods. So rods and miles, so there's rods. 1 mile is 320 yards. Rods, 320 rods, excuse me. Okay, so I take 2.180 times 320, and I got 697. I would get that out of decimal form, okay. 697 and 3/5, so rods. Okay, now what am I supposed to do now? Well, I need to take 3/5 of a rod, set that's the new given quantity, cross it out, okay, the 3/5, and then we got to get that 3/5 out of rods and into yards, okay. Okay, so yards and rods, okay. So there's rod, got to look. 1 rod is 5.5 yards. Okay, so 3/5 times 5.5. Once you hit second PRB equals 3 3/10. Okay. Okay, simplest form. 0.90 yards is feet and inches, so I want blank feet, blank inches. So 0.90 yards over 1. So I transition the yards down there, so they'll go get out of yards, and first thing is into feet. 3 feet, 1 yard. So 0.90 times 3, 2.7. Or no, let's get that out of decimal form. 2. Okay. Second PRB equals 2 7/10. Now again, we take the 7/10 feet, place it over 1, and then we're getting it out of feet and into inches. There's 12 inches to 1 foot. Okay. So it's just setting. You're not cross multiplying and dividing on any of this. Okay. 8 2/5 of an inch. Okay. So 2 feet and 8 2/5 inches. That has been converted to 8 2/5 inches.